Atlanta had seen fame, drama, and heartbreak before, but never like this. Under the glow of city lights, two women who once called each other sisters stood on opposite sides of a secret that would tear everything apart. Lyra and Kiana were inseparable. They laughed through struggle, defended each other when the world turned cruel, and climbed the ladder of fame together. From street stages to sold-out venues, their bond looked unbreakable. To the public, they were unshakable, two queens who had built an empire out of loyalty. But behind the smiles, cracks had begun to form. It started with whispers, small moments that didn't make sense at first. A text Lyra couldn't explain, a glance that lingered too long. Then came the secret that changed everything. One quiet evening, Kiana arrived at Lyra's house, trembling with excitement. "I need to tell you something," she said. Her voice was soft, almost fragile. "I'm pregnant." Lyra froze. For a moment she smiled. But behind her perfect expression, her heart dropped into a pit of fear. "Pregnant? Ew." The answer came like a storm. The father wasn't a stranger. It was someone too close, someone whose name Lyra couldn't even whisper without feeling her world tilt. Kiana was glowing with happiness, completely unaware of the chaos she had just ignited. Lyra tried to stay calm. She told herself it wasn't true, that maybe she'd misunderstood. But every time she saw Kiana smile, the panic grew louder. This wasn't just about jealousy, it was about survival. If the truth got out, it could destroy everything Lyra had built. Her marriage, her reputation, her carefully crafted life. "Are you sure this is what you want?" Lyra asked one night, her voice trembling. "You don't know what kind of pain this could bring." Kiana laughed softly, tears of joy in her eyes. "For once in my life, I'm happy. I want this." But Lyra didn't hear happiness, she heard danger. Every word Kiana spoke was a reminder of how quickly the world could crumble. Rumors had already begun swirling through Atlanta's circles. Rumors about Kiana and a man Lyra could never let the public link to her. So she did what fear often makes people do. She tried to control the uncontrollable. That night, their friendship met its breaking point. Inside Lyra's penthouse, words turned sharp, then cruel. Kiana's laughter faded into tears. "You're not doing this for me," she shouted. "You're doing it for yourself." Lyra's voice cracked as she tried to explain. "I'm protecting you, protecting us. You don't understand what's at stake." But Kiana did understand. And it broke her heart. The woman she had trusted more than anyone was now the reason her joy was being ripped away. She refused to give up her dream, but Lyra's fear was louder than Kiana's hope. By the end of that night, something irreversible had happened. Kiana walked out of that penthouse a different person, hollow, betrayed, and changed. The next morning, her phone was silent. No calls. No messages. Just an aching emptiness where friendship used to live. Days turned into weeks. The city started noticing the distance between them. Fans whispered online, guessing what had gone wrong. Paparazzi photos told stories that no one could confirm, but everyone wanted to believe. And though Lyra tried to smile in interviews, her eyes gave her away. There was guilt in them, deep, heavy guilt that no makeup could hide. Kiana, meanwhile, began to fade from the spotlight. Her laughter disappeared from the stages. Her posts grew quiet. But when she finally returned to the public eye, the light in her eyes was gone. People said she looked different, but no one knew why. Atlanta did. It wasn't just another celebrity fallout. It was a quiet tragedy wrapped in fame and fear. The friendship that once symbolized loyalty now stood as a warning about power, secrecy, and the cost of trying to control fate. Lyra had saved her image but lost her soul. Kiana had lost her dream but kept her truth. And somewhere in that city, under the neon lights and the hum of restless nightlife, both women carried a pain the world would never truly understand. Because sometimes, betrayal doesn't come from enemies. It comes from the people who swear they love you most. Secrets never stay buried for long, and this one came crawling out faster than anyone expected. Shekinah, heartbroken and furious, finally told someone what Tiny had done. That person told another, and within days the rumor spread through Atlanta like wildfire. By the time it reached T, it was already too late to contain. When T heard the truth, something inside him broke. The woman he had built a life with, the mother of his children, had crossed a line he could never imagine forgiving. Rage took over, raw and uncontrollable. He confronted Tiny that same night, his voice shaking with disbelief and anger. The argument echoed through the walls, neighbors pausing to listen as shouts turned into tears and the truth spilled into the open. Tiny tried to defend herself. She said she did it out of love, that she only wanted to protect her family, to protect him. But T couldn't hear it. Nothing could justify forcing another woman, someone they both called family, into such pain. "You played God," he said, his voice breaking. "And now we all have to live with it." After that night, nothing was the same. T blamed Tiny, but he also blamed himself. He lay awake wondering if something he'd done had pushed Shekinah into isolation. Had he said too much? Been too kind? Too distant? The rumors about him and Shekinah clawed at his conscience until even he started to wonder if there was some truth in them. The doubt poisoned everything. Atlanta noticed the change before anyone confirmed it. The couple who once smiled for every camera now avoided each other's gaze. Their public appearances grew awkward, their laughter forced. Tiny's hand would reach for T.I.'s, but he'd pull away. Every photo, every interview, every staged smile carried the weight of a broken home. Meanwhile, Shekinah disappeared. She stopped appearing in music videos, skipped events, and refused interviews. The silence said more than words ever could. And in that silence, the truth began to take shape. The friendship that once looked like sisterhood had ended in heartbreak and loss. Then came the confrontation that would blow everything open. T finally snapped in public. Cameras rolled as he shouted that he could never look at Tiny the same way again. "You took something you can't give back," he yelled. "You turned love into control." Fans caught bits of the argument on their phones, and within hours the internet exploded. Clips trended everywhere. People picked sides, debated, analyzed every word, every gesture. Tiny hit back, furious and humiliated. She accused T of caring more about Shekinah than about his own wife. She threw his guilt back at him, saying he wasn't angry at her. He was angry at himself. "You wanted that baby," she spat. "You just won't admit it." It was ugly, painful, and deeply human. The kind of fight that doesn't end when the shouting stops. Shekinah, watching it all unfold, couldn't escape the guilt. She felt responsible for the destruction, even though she had been the one most deeply wounded. She started therapy, hoping to make peace with what had happened, but every session ended in tears. She spoke about betrayal, control, and the unbearable silence that followed. Nights were the worst. She'd lie awake, haunted by the thought that her happiness had cost 3 people their peace. T slowly shut down. He stopped talking. The spark that once made their love story magnetic was gone. They lived together, but not really. 2 strangers under one roof, pretending for the sake of cameras and kids. Friends whispered about divorce. Some said it was already in motion. Others hoped they'd fix things. But deep down, everyone knew the truth. This time there was no fixing it. Shekinah started to open up online, not with names but with words that cut deep. In tearful videos and cryptic posts, she spoke of being betrayed by someone she once trusted with her life. She hinted at choices she never wanted to make, at love that turned into control, and at a friendship that became her downfall. Her pain was real and the world could feel it. Tiny tried to hold her head high in public, but the guilt shadowed her every move. She knew forgiveness wasn't coming, from Shekinah, from T, or even from herself. He found his own voice again, speaking about morality, choices, and the kind of betrayal that comes from those closest to you. He didn't name names. He didn't have to. Everyone already knew. What began as a friendship turned into a storm of love, lies, and loss. It wasn't about fame anymore. It was about humanity, how fear can twist love, how secrets can destroy everything real, and how some wounds never fully heal. Atlanta watched it all unfold. A family collapsing under the weight of one secret, a friendship that became a tragedy, and a lesson no one would forget. Because in the end, it wasn't just a scandal. It was a story about trust, choices, and the heavy price of silence.